We're continuing our study in Daniel. We've going on to the second chapter, Nebuchadnezzar's first dream. We can start today in prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for your word, your grace, and the mysteries of Daniel that you have revealed to us. Open our hearts to your word, and let the meditations of our hearts and the words of our lips be pleasing unto you, our rock and our redeemer. Chapter 2. Daniel is now one of the chief magicians and sorcerers of Babylon. Now, these are difficult titles for us because as Christians and as believers, God abhors magic and conjuring and astrology. But in the Babylonian culture, these are their scholars. These are their wise men. These are their magi. These are the people in Christ's time. They're going to be looking for the signs of the Messiah and come to Jerusalem looking for the babe of Bethlehem. So they're wise men, but Babylonians called them magicians. The Babylonians had dream culture. They thought dreams were a purpose. And they had books and books and books. You have a dream, they can look it up and tell you what every symbol meant. It was their culture, their way of interpreting things, their way of predicting the future, without the sight of God. Theirs was a emphasis on knowledge that comes in dreams. So Nebuchadnezzar had a dream.
Now in the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was so troubled that sleep left him. Then the king gave the command to call the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king.
So he calls all the wise men in, everybody into his presence. These are the people that are his advisors, his leaders, who he goes to. The Chaldeans kind of being the upper level of it because Chaldea is the area that is Babylon, the source of his original power coming forward. And he lays out to them, I've had a dream. But he won't tell them what the dream is. And in the scripture reading, it is hard to understand whether he is withholding the dream from them that he remembers completely because he doesn't trust their books and interpretation. He wants them to tell him his dream so that he can know that the interpretation that they get forth is true, or whether God has gifted him with his dream, and then as he wakes up in the turmoil of the spirit, he has him forget it. In the scripture itself, you can't make clear which of those two things it is, but in that regard, he does not give the dream to his magicians and sorcerers and astrologers and Chaldeans. He tells them, you tell me the dream, and then I'll know that the interpretation you give me is accurate.
They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will give its interpretation. The king answered and said, I know for certain that you would gain time, because you see that my decision is firm. If you do not make known the dream to me, there is only one decree for you. For you have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words before me, till the time has changed. Therefore, tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can give me its interpretation. The Chaldeans answered the king and said, There is not a man on earth who can tell the king's matter. Therefore, no king, lord, or ruler has ever asked such things of any magician, astrologer, or Chaldean. It is difficult that the king requests. and there is no other who can tell it to the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh."
So even the Chaldeans know that no one can answer the king except a god. They don't know which god, but they know a god would be required to answer the king's requests.
For this reason, the king was angry and very furious, and gave the command to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree went out, and they began killing the wise men, and they sought Daniel and his companions to kill them.
Now you have to understand that these are like the captain of Pharaoh's guard who had Joseph in his hand and yet did not kill him. This is the captain of Nebuchadnezzar's guard who's going out to Daniel, and he doesn't just immediately kill him. He answers Daniel's question. What the heck is all this going on here? Instead of just carrying out his command, God has softened his heart to be sympathetic and empathetic to Daniel. So he asks the captain of the guard to take him before the king. Now this is a young man, maybe in his late teens, early 20s, who has the audacity to say, "Hey, just take me into the king and let me talk to him about this." And he has such a regard with the captain of the guard that he does do that. He takes him to the king. So Daniel went in and asked the king to give him time that he might tell the king the interpretation. So what did Daniel do? He goes into the king and asks for the exact same thing the Chaldeans and the astrologers, the magicians, and everybody else had asked for, was time. And the king's heart was softened, and he gave Daniel time.
Then Daniel went to his house and made the decision known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they might seek mercies from the God of heaven concerning this secret, so that Daniel and his companions might not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon.
So they went in and they prayed, and they spent their night praying, and they sought the face of God. And the secret was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. So Daniel blessed the God of heaven. So Daniel wakes up, he knows what the dream was, he knows what the dream meant, and instead of running to Nebuchadnezzar, he stops and does what a man of God does. He praises God for answering his request. And it is a beautiful, 4-verse song.
Daniel answered and said, "Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him. I thank you and praise you, O God of my fathers. You have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we have asked of you. For you have made known to us the king's demand."
Amen. Daniel knows from whom his source of power and wisdom comes. And he stops and praises him. There's a death sentence on this guy and all his friends. And he stops and praises God first. Therefore Daniel went to Arach, the king, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon, and went and said to him, "Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me before the king, and I will tell you the king his interpretation." Now if you go back a few verses, remember Daniel went to his companions so that he and his companions might not be killed with all the rest of the wise men. But now that he's got the interpretation and has gotten the heart of God in him, he knows to have compassion too. So he tells the king's guard not to kill any of the wise men.
The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, "Are you able to make known to me the dream which I have seen and its interpretation?" Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, "The secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers cannot declare to the king. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days."
Okay, the latter days. This is a phrase that's going to go through all the minor prophets now. The latter days is from this point onward. This is the point where we stop marking time by the chosen of God.
You, O king, were watching, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth.
So this is Nebuchadnezzar's dream. He sees a statue, gold head, silver arms and chest, bronze waist and thighs, iron legs, feet of iron and clay. And Nebuchadnezzar either realizes that this is a dream and understands that this is what he's seen in his dream, or he's got his question fulfilled. Either way, Nebuchadnezzar knows that this is his dream.
This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold.
Okay, Nebuchadnezzar, you're the head of gold. But it's even more. God has given you this authority and power. If Nebuchadnezzar had gone east into India, he would have conquered them. He'd gone west into Greece, he would have conquered them. He was given authority to conquer anything he wanted. He was given that power and authority and wisdom and knowledge by God. God made you this. But after you shall rise another kingdom. And notice he changes from king to kingdom. Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold, not Babylon. Lots of the statues you see, even in the image that we put up before you, they list the head of gold as Babylon. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold. He's going to have 3 sons rule after him for a few years, and a usurper take over the throne. Babylon as a kingdom is not going to last much longer than Nebuchadnezzar's rule. And it's the most amazing thing. God raised up this king, and this kingdom, and this power, and this great empire, which he lists as the head of gold, the best empire in all the world. And it lasted less time than the Israeli captivity. He was raised up as a king in his nation, as an empire, for the sole purpose of punishing Jews. And soon as their captivity is about to end, his kingdom ends. But there shall rise another kingdom inferior to yours. It's really the word inferior is the way it's translated in most Bibles, but it's more like after yours, not as we consider inferior or under or less than.
But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then a third kingdom of bronze which shall rule over the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Whereas you saw the feet and toes partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Yet the strength of iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men. But they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure.
God has given Nebuchadnezzar, the first of the kings of the Gentile age, the entire history from his kingdom to Christ's second coming. And it's there. The golden kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar was conquered by the Medo-Persian Empire, which is the silver. That empire was conquered by the Greeks under Alexander the Great. And that kingdom was conquered by the Romans and set up Pax Romana. And in Pax Romana, the time of the Romans, the Christ will be born. The Roman Empire will have been divided in half. And the eastern end of it will not end until 1453 AD. The western half of it kind of fell apart with the sacking of Rome in about 546 AD. But the Roman Empire has never ceased to exist. If you look at our history from that time, the Italian city-states rose up for the Renaissance, and they were the power of the time. The Eastern Empire was still there. After that, Charlemagne ruled the area, and he went away. Then you have the Spanish and Portuguese empires, which dominated the world. And then the Ottoman Empire rose up and crushed Constantinople and enforced their empire from Turkey all the way around the southern Mediterranean into Spain. And after that, the English crushed the Spanish Armada in, 1588? And England became the power, which continued until World War II, where a colony of England, the United States of America, became the superpower of the world. At no time since Rome conquered Greece has Rome been fully conquered. It is divided 10 toes, we're going to see 10 horns, we're going to see many interpretations of this, but there is no break. The statue covers all time until God ends it in the crushing return of his Son, the second coming. So this is the interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Nebuchadnezzar was not only raised up by God, he was given by God a vision of what he has started and how it will end. And it will end with God's kingdom on earth. And that's chapter 2.